How are you? You made it. Good to have you here, and you're smiling, actually. And we got the heat. It was really hot earlier, and we got the air conditioning going. I'm feeling good. So welcome to this session tonight, this opening session, and then we'll split off into our workshops, Women's Health and Well-Being, Strengthen Your Capacity to Influence and Flourish. I'm Susan Madsen. I'm a professor of organizational leadership in the Woodbury School of Business here at Utah Valley University. Been working statewide on the Utah Women in Leadership Project for about 10 years now. Really, our focus is to strengthen the impact of Utah girls and women in different ways so we can have more girls and women with confidence and knowing how to use their voice and really impacting in whatever way they choose. We do, in fact, this week we released a brief, and it got picked up by U.S. World and U.S. News and World Report, which I was happy about, on state boards and commissions. We focus our work on research, and then we have some events and do lots of speaking, and then resources as well. So that's what we do, and we're happy to have you here tonight. Want to highlight three of our premier sponsors. MX, Squire, and L3 Harris have helped support these events in terms of camera costs so we can, and live streaming. We have about 40 people, I think, that we know of that are joining us on live stream. And also, we do have food at the end. So do not skip that, okay? Do not skip that. And then some cookies, but fruit too, so, okay. And then our supporting sponsors are the Utah Education Network and the UVU's Woodbury School of Business. And then please join us on our social media. We have lots of things going, not just with us, but we put notices out of our partners' events and our collaborators' events. So if you're not on that, please get on that because you're interested in these topics if you're here today. And then wanted to highlight our next event. We actually have we have 4 of these community events every year. We have the 2 in the spring already planned, and the flyers are on if you found that on our new website. And this one is our She Talks Utah, which is kind of like TED Talks. And you can see we have a variety of folks, and we're going to focus this one on celebrating Utah women. Remembering the past to shape our future. And if you don't know this already, next year is going to be the celebration of women the whole year in Utah because it is the 100-year anniversary of suffrage, women having the right to vote. And it's actually a 150-year anniversary of another vote, which Utah women started voting in the state 150 years ago, and then the nation made a stop. And then it took another 50 years to actually make it a formal. So we have a lot of great stuff going on and lots of groups involved. So you can see the names. And so put that on your schedule for January 30th. So I want to move right now into our keynote speaker for the evening. And we'll have that, and then we'll break. I'll get up and show you where to go for your breakout sessions. So we are happy and delighted and honored to have Dr. Barbara Wilson here. She's the Interim Dean and Associate Dean of Academic Affairs at the University of Utah in the College of Nursing, and also she's an associate of the Center of Excellence in Women's Health. So past positions, she's spent years in clinical practice and administration in hospital-based nursing, and served as a research consultant for several nonprofit hospitals and enjoys research to practice. I do too. I love that. And then I appreciated that she likes to do research on workforce issues like the gender wage disparity in nursing. Now, we don't have an issue, do we, in Utah with the gender wage gap? And still in nursing, but in pretty much everything else, right? And then she has received numerous honors, but I listed one, Nursing Excellence and Leadership Award from the Utah Organization of Nurse Leaders and Utah Hospital Association. So her bio's a little bit longer, but I thought I'd give her the rest of the time. So welcome. Thank you so much.
But really honored to be asked to speak. I have so much passion for the work that I do and the work that women do every day, and it's really an honor to talk to you. As you know, that tonight's about both health and well-being and then strengthening our capacity to flourish in a leadership role. So I'm going to divide my remarks into those two things. I'll talk briefly about some things that have happened with my colleagues at the University of Utah in the Center for Excellence in Women's Health, and then we'll talk a little bit about some lessons learned in the leadership. Oh, am I going the wrong way? I must be. Okay. I want you to know we have stiff competition tonight. Peppa Pig is live at the Eccles Theater in Salt Lake City. So I want to tell you thank you for being here, because I know what that meant. Okay, so my objectives today are to discuss again the 7 domains, and I give all of the credit of this to my colleagues. What I will talk about is largely their work. And then I'm going to talk about, again, some lessons that I've learned in leadership. Okay, so I love this. You know, we know that health is not just about our physical well-being, right? There's so many domains, and I like that the research at the University of Utah has really focused, particularly in the center with women, on physical, social, emotional, intellectual, environmental, financial, and spiritual. So we're going to delve right into that. Oh, or not. Okay, physical. So this is interesting. This was a survey that asked women what their top concerns were about their health. These are the top answers, particularly for those of us in midlife. Memory, right? You walk in a kitchen, you're like, dang, what am I? And so I retrace my steps to see if I can remember. Menopause, heart health, coping skills, and cancer. Now, why I've highlighted heart health is it turns out that if you look around, 1 of every 3 of us will die of heart disease. 1 in every 3 or 1 in every 4, depending on the statistics. It is very common. It is the leading cause of death in women. But when you think about what worries you, it's like, oh, breast cancer, right, or some other kinds of cancer. Heart disease is prevalent. What makes heart disease really tricky in women is the symptoms are very atypical. And I think for years, unfortunately, women's heart disease wasn't caught because it wasn't like clutching chest pain. In fact, less than 40% of women with heart disease have any chest pain at all. It's insomnia. I mean, it's a lot of things you have in midlife, right? Insomnia, fatigue, sleep disturbance, shortness of breath, a feeling of indigestion. So we're at risk just because we are atypical or unusual in the way we present our symptoms. So what are the risk factors for heart disease? Some of them we can't control, right? My father died at 44 of a massive heart attack. That's hereditary. I can't control that. But if you look at some of the risk factors, most of these we can influence. High blood pressure, we know there are ways that we can lower our blood pressure, what we eat, how we move, right? Cholesterol, smoking, diet, physical inactivity, obesity, and poor sleep habits. And I feel hypocritical because I got 3 hours of sleep last night. But I know what I'm supposed to do. Anyway, so we know that and you'll see a pattern. I mean, in a lot of these domains, it really boils down to basics. And we all know we need to get up and move, right? I mean, we know this stuff. So I'm hoping that I can give you some inspiration to actually kind of walk with me on this journey. Bottom line, even small changes help. I think we tend to, rather than say, I'm going to just, try to exercise 3 or 4 times, and I don't mean hit the gym, I mean walk around your neighborhood, walk at work instead of taking the elevator, those kinds of things. But we almost go to, I'm going to run a marathon on Friday, right, from inactivity. So I think we have to just start small, anything. I used to run, my knees are too bad, so I try to walk a lot. I can't run. I get bored if I'm in a gym. I try to walk. So anything, start somewhere. Anything is better than not doing something. Well-balanced diet. Lots of things about diet. There are different Mediterranean diet, other types of diets. But I think we all know the drill, right? You should eat small amounts of red meat, more fish, more chicken, vegetables and fruits, right? Daily physical activity, something. Try to shoot for something every day. Pay attention to emotional wellness. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. Healthy relationships, vitally important. I'm going to talk more about that. It's interesting, there were surveys that showed men died quicker when they didn't have a spouse. Women were like, they lived, another 20 years. I thought that was pretty interesting. Anyway, and then undergo preventative care. Utah women are awful. We're really poor rates on mammograms, which I don't get. It's treatable if caught early. I mean, colonoscopies, we get to your primary care provider and get those routine tests done because they matter and they save lives. Okay, the next domain is called social, and I love, probably most of you have seen this, right? Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You'll notice that, the ideas at the very bottom are foundational. Of course, we know it's things like food, water, warmth, rest. Second up, you'll see safety needs. The third one up is really this sense of belonging. We are creatures that like connectedness. We like to belong. And there's research that shows we are meant to be in packs, right? We are meant to belong. So how do we meet our social needs? Family, we all probably have some dysfunctional members in our family, but family are important. Obviously, our friends, where we worship, groups that we associate with, whether they're, scrapbooking groups or whatever your thing is, work, and then, of course, community neighbors. So the idea behind social is to strengthen your social capital. We know we need people. We need connectedness. We need a place to belong. The third is emotional well-being. And this is interesting. I've heard a lot about resilience and different definitions of resilience, but I'm going to kind of refer to it as your ability to recover from some misfortune, how buoyant you are, how resilient. People call it grit, flexibility. We do a lot of things to sabotage ourselves, and I'm probably not the only one that looks in the mirror and thinks, I can't believe, your hips are this, you're too that, you're not this enough, right? We're very critical, and I think when we entertain a lot of that self-talk that's negative, it really affects our resiliency, and there have been some interesting studies that demonstrate that. So be loving to yourself. You wouldn't talk to anybody like we talk to ourselves sometimes, right? So show yourself some love, right? Intrinsic goals. So intrinsic goal is, am I doing things that are worthwhile? Extrinsic would be, I want to make $80,000 by the time I'm 40 or whatever. Intrinsic are, does my life have meaning? Does it have value? Do I do things that give me pride, make me feel good? We know that that's critical for emotional well-being. Emotional regulation, so your ability to kind of go with the flow a little bit, right? And I think that goes along with acceptance too, is we can't control other people's behavior. Sometimes I feel like I can barely control my own. But we have to say there are some things I can't control. I have to accept that, right? Things won't always go to plan. That's okay. You control what you can. You accept the rest. Forgiveness goes a long way in emotional well-being. It's really hard to hold negative and hard feelings against others. And then humor. I'm blessed. My job is pretty stressful, and I get to come home and laugh. I live with people that are funny, and they make me laugh. That's so critical for me because even someone to see the absurdity of something in your day, to tell them, I just think that's critically important. So have people that are good for you. It's hard when you have really stressful jobs to go home and feel like, you're in a blender both at work and at home. And so I think that balance of being with people that make you feel good is critical. And then autonomy, the ability to kind of be in charge of your own destiny to some extent. To consider your options, kind of be your own person. So these are all things that are important under emotional well-being. Intellectual well-being, the older I get, I get worried about my memory. I'm probably not the only one. So I thought, this is interesting. What can we do to keep our memory? And we know that as adults are living older, the possibility of getting a dementia or Alzheimer's is increasing exponentially with the aging population. So these are strategies, challenge your brain, really interesting research that said a higher level of education is associated with better mental functioning in old age. And the idea, experts think it's because advanced education keeps memory strong by having this person stay in the habit of being mentally active. And they found that you can have the same effect if you learn a new skill. You know, you've never painted before, take a painting class. You pick up gardening, you know, you do woodwork. That trying something new and using a different part of your brain has the same effect as it does on people with higher education because it challenges your brain. So that's an easy strategy we can all do, right? Spend time with your friends. I think, you know, positive people, again, people that make you feel good. And we all know when we're with people that are like a vortex of energy suckers, right? I mean, we stay with people that make you feel good. Again, physically active, doesn't need to be, you know, hitting the gym for an hour and a half a day, but just move, get up and move. Smoking, if there's one message, and Utah does have one of the lowest smoking rates, but, you know, smoking complicates almost everything humanly possible, so don't smoke. Eat a balanced diet. Do you see a theme here of diet and activity? Crucial. Good night's sleep, and then limit alcohol to 1 drink a day. It'd probably be best if it wasn't in a 32-ounce sippy cup or big gulp cup. They recommend about 5 to 8 ounces, and red wine is actually supposed to be heart healthy, but again, all things in moderation, right? So those are intellectual. So let's talk environmental. This was something I really knew little about, so when I was digging in as I was preparing for this, we have environmental conditions. Sometimes our air quality has been the worst in the world, worse than Beijing. There are a few days that we have been the worst in the world, you know, when that inversion hits and and I don't know if you guys get it as bad down here, do you? Yeah, okay. Anyway, it's horrible in Salt Lake. So all of these things, air quality, and you know, now there's research that shows that poor air quality has effects on fetal development and all kinds of things. So we know air quality matters for a million reasons. Asthmatic, children with asthma, it exacerbates their conditions and so forth. You know, lead poisoning, radon, who ever heard of radon until the last 10 years? And that's been a problem. Mercury, mold, carbon dioxide, etc. So we have a problem. When I was looking for resources, the Utah Department of Health partnered with the CDC, the Centers for Disease Control, and created their own portal and website for environmental health. And I've got to give them a plug. These two sites are unbelievable. You can log on and know what the air quality is expected for the day. You know, if it's red, if you get a red warning, that means don't go running outside. That is that you're putting yourself in health risk. But great sites that allows you to kind of compare. It even tells you where not to fish because they have high levels of mercury in the fish. I mean, it's amazing. So, but be aware of how environment affects. And if you're pregnant, you're not supposed to eat certain kinds of fish. I'll tell you later if you have any questions. I'm an old OB nurse, so anyway. So watch the fish if you're pregnant. Okay. Financial health. So over half of all women will be the heads of household at some time in their lives. We do tend to outlive men. 3 key issues to controlling financial health. For one thing, most of us will live until 85. So if you're 65 and you're planning on retiring, you've got 20 years that you need to figure out what you're going to do financially. So I wanted to, know your finances and little thoughts about financial health. So personal, kinds of 3 things. Saving, it's not an option. It shouldn't be an option for you to have money saved. The recommended is that you have at least 3 to 6 months of your monthly income saved for an emergency. 3 to 6 months is the minimum. And even if you put $3,000 a year in a savings account in your early 20s, supposedly if you invest it wisely by the time you're 30 or 35, that could be worth over $1 million, depending on where you put your money. So save even a little bit, start somewhere, right? And now as I'm looking at retirement, this is really important. Credit score protected. So the recommendations I've heard are establish a personal individual credit, and if with an auto loan or something. You want to avoid those companies that have kind of payday loans. Your credit history is important. Everyone has what's called a FICO score, FICO, and that's based on your risk, what the lenders stratify you in terms of risk. So if you don't pay your credit card or you got financial trouble or whatever, the FICO scores reflect you're a bad risk. And so when you do go to get a loan, you could pay hundreds of dollars more a month. So you have to protect your credit. That's vitally important. Pay your bills. You don't want credit to stack up. Obviously, you shouldn't spend more than you make, right? I mean, I think it's really tempting to use a credit card, but it's financially, you have to save and you have to be wise. The second thing is investments, managing risk through diversification. And this is real personal to me because I just finally got a trust and, when can I retire? And, again, women are living longer than men, so the rule of thumb is about 50 to 70% of your annual income. So just for math's sake, let's say I make $100,000. At least I should plan on $50,000 a year from when I retire times 20 years if I'm going to live to 85, if that's my life expectancy. So you can see it's no small amount. So you have to save. You have to save. The thing about diversification, we know that stocks are risky, right? They're volatile, they're a bit of a risk, but long-term they have the best payoff of anything, but they're risky. Saving accounts are great. They're protected. They don't fluctuate, but there's very little return. So if you haven't, you really need to meet with a financial investor so that you know what's good for you. I know when I met with mine, he said, how risk averse are you? And I discovered I'm not. Because I was a single parent for a long time. I never was very risky with my money. Now that I'm a little closer to retirement, I'm willing to be a little bit more risky with a portion of it. But you need a plan that's right for you. Fraud, of course, avoid fraud. You want to stay with reputable, standardized companies, and of course, if it sounds too good to be true, probably is. The last domain is really physical or spiritual health, and I think culturally we have a lot of expectations. Some of us. We have multiple responsibilities. I just want to say I don't think spirituality necessarily is about religion. It could be. I think of... okay. Can I turn it? It's not. I think I was just humming along. Okay. Anyway, so spirituality can be, nature. It can be about connectedness with other people. It can be about community service. So it's really something that gives you grace, whether that's, again, formalized religion or music and art or whatever. So I think that my message for there is find what brings you grace and joy. And take advantage of that. I get really inspired when I see really beautiful sunsets. I don't know, it touches my heart. So we do know that all human beings, there's something spiritual. All cultures have some kind of spirituality. And again, it's finding what works for you. We're doing well. Okay, so this last part, I want to talk a little bit about leadership, and I'm embarrassed to do this because I know Susan is just an expert in leadership, but strengthening your influence. I've had an opportunity to be in a leadership position of some kind for about 30 years, and these are my lessons learned. The reason I want to talk to you, whether or not you're a leader or you don't think you'll ever be a leader. I never in a million years thought I'd be in a leadership position. I'm a nurse. I love nursing. I remember one time I was in my early 30s. There was an opening in labor and delivery at LDS Hospital for the head nurse, and some physicians approached me, and I said, I don't think I'm qualified, right? Oh, no, just apply. And I don't know what made me decide to do that, but it's been this amazing journey. You don't know what lies ahead. And so these are tips that I hope make you or help you, guide you for what might lie ahead. My number one lesson is, or lesson learned, honor your seat at the table. And I want to show this picture because how many of you, you're in an important meeting or something and you look around and half of the people have their cell phone. You're trying to conduct business, you have something important, everybody's on their cell phone. Whether it's intended or not, the message is, you're not even worth me looking up. This is more important than you. And my thought is, and I tell my team, we have weekly meetings and they know no cell phones, no laptops. And I say, if you're late, if you've got really important business, you need to catch a call, do that. When you're done, come on in and join us. And people are engaged. It's amazing. I mean, we were joking today, it's flipped how we work because everybody is fully engaged in the conversation. Watch it. If you've been asked to represent somebody or you're in a group, honor your seat at the table. You're there for a reason. That's my soapbox on honoring your seat at the table. Take chances. Again, my first leadership job was just so unexpected, and I liked it, and there were parts that I thought I was good at, and it was scary. And I love this quote. It's about gaining strength, courage, and confidence by doing the thing that scares you. And I think we all have to do the thing you think you cannot do. That's how we grow. So that's my second lesson learned, is just take a chance, Third is, the fish rots from the head. I think the leader has to set the culture, and a bad leader permeates. How many of you have left a job because of a bad boss? Yeah, it's very common. You set the tone, you set the culture, you set the expectations. You want that to represent who you are and what you value. I love this quote. His men would follow him anywhere, but only out of morbid curiosity. You don't want to be that guy. Okay, plan on working hard, and I'm so glad we have some men here. I love this slide, this picture, and the reason is I do think women have to work extra hard to get in leadership positions. I do. I wish that wasn't true, but I think it is. And why I like this picture is it reminds me that Ginger Rogers did everything Fred Astaire did, but backwards and in high heels. So we can do it, but we have a little bit of extra work ahead. Plan on hard work. There's no easy task to being a leader. Leaders don't duck. So a lot of people, you can't be a victim and a leader at the same time. Leaders shouldn't put themselves in I'd love to, but they won't let me. They won't let me. What that says to your people, you've got no power. You've got no, maybe the message can be, we've got challenges, but I wonder if we can talk about ways maybe we can work around this. Really different message. One is we're powerful, we're in this, we've got skin in the game. The other is we have no influence or control. And I think that sends a powerful message. Honor the journey. It's whatever you're doing, it's a journey. I mean, you'll look back someday and it's to be celebrated and honored. And particularly if you do find yourself in a leadership position, it's a journey. So embrace it, right? It's the journey, not the destination. Protect your reputation. And I'm not saying I've done things perfectly, but I've always tried to be honest and speak the truth, be candid and direct. I think women sometimes feel like you can't be candid and kind, and that's not true. I think I've had to kind of let people go before, and it's that have always wanted to be a labor and delivery nurse or have always wanted to be whatever, and I think you say, you've got so many skills, this isn't it, and I want to help you find something that fits you, right? Be honest about agreements and disagreements. When you're looking for the best solution, lose your ego, right? It's not about what you think, it's about what's best for the team. And live your values. I was talking with my friend on the way up, and we were talking about Facebook and social media, and I had a former student that posted a picture that I could not believe. And I thought, do you know who's looking at this online? Protect your reputation. It will go with you forever. You do one foolish thing, it's really hard to live that down. So particularly for you young women, just protect your reputation. And then expect setbacks. They will happen, right? Things don't go to plan. You've got to have a plan A and then a plan B. These are, so Ziggy, does anyone remember Ziggy? He was kind of big, right, in the 70s and 80s. And there was a quote that, of course, I use as a joke, but it's, optimism indicates the situation is not clearly understood. But I remind myself of that because things never go to plan. I think and I am an optimistic person, but it's like, oh, nuts. Well, that didn't work. Let's try something else, right? You roll with the punches. Great quote by Walt Disney, who said, "You may not realize it when it happens, but a kick in the teeth may be the best thing in the world for you." And he had some major setbacks before, of course, Disneyland, right? So I want to end with this. There is no passion to be found playing small in settling for a life that is less than the one you are capable of living. So I want you to live the best life possible. And I again, thank you for letting me come out tonight.